for international security assistance force employees, again, including interpreters and translators, and again, minimum time, and it's a special immigrant visa, this P2 special immigrant. And then there is the resolute support employees and contractors, again, interpreters and translators, minimum time. Finally, Afghans who worked or currently work for a U.S. government-funded program or project in Afghanistan, supported through a U.S. government grant or a cooperative agreement. Now, this is a lot bigger group. This is the kind of group that I'm getting a lot of phone calls about who they are, what kind of work they've done, and what they're doing. And in one case specifically, we have a client who has a family who worked through U.S. government schools. Okay, that means working as a principal and in the U.S. government school program, which has caused them to feel fear for their lives. A lot of what we're hearing also is that people are kind of scrubbing their Facebook and their social media. I've even seen some stuff on Twitter where people are actually burning documents that have their name and information on them because they're afraid that if Taliban forces or individuals find that documentation, it's evidence against them. Okay, so Irfan Faruqi, hi, how are you? Thanks for checking in. Respect all 8. My family's in Kabul. They're waiting for an interview, and when Taliban came, I don't know what to do. They have KBL number, everything, but still they don't let them in airport. I really need help with that, please. Okay, so truthfully, I've been getting a lot of calls on this, and there's not a lot we can do over here. There really isn't. What I think is the most effective thing that can be done is for individuals like you to get onto Facebook and start contacting these groups, okay? If there's non-governmental organizations or other organizations, you need to have them contact, you need to contact those groups, get the relevant information to them. Relevant information means what organization or agency they worked for, how long, their name, their passport information, all that information to them. I actually do have somebody, a client who is, she's been working with another U.S. government, military officer stationed outside of Afghanistan who's willing to take some of these cases and help. Now, this was just through a personal connection she had because she was unable to reach anybody in Kabul, okay? So I think you need to keep that in mind as an option. Looking for other resources which might get your family to somebody who can either help them get into the airport or help them process this P2 process. What we're seeing a lot of, or what I'm hearing a lot of, is that people are just trying to leave no matter what. Now, the airport obviously is the number one way, but with the checkpoints and trying to get in, it's very difficult. So what some people are doing is they're looking at their family leaving Afghanistan just in any way, shape, or form for their safety because it's an emergency situation. And then what they're doing is making sure that this SIV P2 visa goes through. Now, this visa has its own process where you might have to be abroad for about a year and stay in another third country as you get ready to come to the United States. There's a lot of things that are still up in the air. And what's happened is immigration has a backlog of over 20,000 SIV P2 cases, and they are trying to process them. But as you'll know, or maybe you don't know, but one of the laws that passed in 2000 was called the Real ID Act. And what the Real ID Act was all about was that anybody who's going to be a refugee or anybody's going to come to the United States, you really have to prove who they are. You can't just, and some countries have very sort of fake documents or sort of easily made counterfeits. So the process that people are going to have to go through is going to be checking who they are and what they're doing, okay, where they belong, and who they are, checking out those documents. So having your family's documents scanned and emailed to you, PDF form, is a really, really important thing. I think you need to get to that level, make sure you have that going on, and then you need to start calling and submitting documents to any place you can, especially non-governmental organizations, and especially places outside of Afghanistan who might be willing to accept or take your family for a short period of time. I know that doesn't sound very good, but the truth is, we had a case about 2 months ago where it was a government contractor affiliated with a project that was done in Afghanistan, and that contractor was the one who wanted to help his Afghan interpreters. So when he contacted us about 2 months ago, I knew the situation was coming. I'd heard word about it, but I didn't know at all what we know today. And so I just said, well, hey, look, this, and this, and I made it kind of casual. But eventually they did similar to what I said. They had some other things going, and they got the U.S. military or the U.S. Army, the Army, to help them with the application, and they got their people out. So those are people who are very, very far ahead of the process. And what you're talking about is your family's still there. So I would simply say you're gonna have to try to reach out beyond other things to see if you can find some other avenues. If you want to call me and give me and chat, I can try to hook you up with a friend of mine who is going through a very strange process that we're worried that it's not real, but she's contacted somebody and that person's been helping her for a couple days to try to get a family member out of Afghanistan right now. She'll know more probably tomorrow or the next day if that actually worked. I must say thank you, Pam Scott. Okay. I understand you need help. Respect all 8. Please call our number. You can find it on our link, okay? And we'll just chat a little bit. I'll try to introduce you to this lady I know. Is employment-based green card on country of birth or citizen? It's birth, COB. You can be a citizen of Canada, but you're still Indian. It counts to India. I'm going to tell you a trick, though. It's Chariaga Ora. All right, here's the trick. It's called cross-chargeability. Cross-chargeability means that you might be born in India. You might be in the India category. You have a case. But if your wife is born in Singapore, which could be Indian, right? Could be anything, but born in Singapore, born in Pakistan, born in Sri Lanka, born in Bangladesh, born in Afghanistan, you get to use that country. It's called cross-chargeability, okay? So I ask Indians all the time, oh, you're married, great. Who are you married to? Okay, yeah, but where was she born? Not necessarily is she a citizen of India. A citizen of India is fine, but if she happened to be born in another country, we can use that country's nationality for your green card process, okay? So cross-chargeability, folks, I gave that one away for free. All right, Uber something instructions. Oh, I like this guy. He always Uber Eats instructions 2021. Can I travel with advanced parole marriage-based? So the short answer is going to be yes, if you have the advanced parole. The long answer is probably much more complicated and detailed than that. The question is, can I travel with advanced parole? I have a marriage-based process. My answer is generally yes. The problem you're going to have is if you have unlawful presence, you might not want to travel. If you have other violations that your attorney should know about, you might not want to travel. The other thing is with travel bans, don't travel. I mean, don't go to countries that are banned. Not because you won't get back, but why would you do that? It makes life very, very hard. And I've been seeing some real horror stories about people missing out on seeing family in India, during these travel bans, COVID hitting family who passed away. I'm seeing a lot of things like that, and I can understand the desire to travel, but just so you know, guys, that's going to be something you don't want to do. All right. Lubana, 1992 USA. Well, I'm glad you got here in 92. How long does it take U visa? I Sally, 2016. Now I got EAD card. You should be getting your U visa now if you filed your U cert in 2016. 5 years is really the end of the process. Sometimes it's the beginning of 5 years, but you should be getting it soon. Hopefully your attorney filed a good case. Matic 9000. I've got a lot of Matic shares, okay? All right, I own a ton of Matic shares. Not 9,000, but close. I'm glad you like Matic. It's called Polygon now, though, right? Shared live video. What does that mean? Someone shared a live video. Matic 2000.
They shared your video.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Lubana 1992. I lost my ADA card. How much it costs to apply a new one? First of all, shame on you, okay? There's people waiting in line for those EADs. There's people. I got clients who are waiting like 13 months, man. I can't believe you lost your EAD card. What are you doing? Man, you don't deserve an EAD card if you're losing it just like that. If you lost it, it's going to take a long time. How much does it cost? That I don't know. We charge a fee, and then you pay the government fee. So I can't believe you. I lost my ADA card. How much costs a new one? The same price as an old one. All right. Sarina 87. Sahin Raj 87. I'm on CPT as PhD student. Does that affect H1B case? No, nothing in that question affects the H1B case. You have two choices for an H1B case. All right, I'm on an H1B. No. I'm on a PhD with CPT. Does that affect my H1B case? That's the question being asked. The answer is no, generally. What I mean by that is H1B is by a lottery. The lottery comes in March, as we know, and you start working in October. We've gone through two lotteries just now, and we're waiting for results on that second one, or they're trickling in. Or it should be in, actually. CPT doesn't really affect it. What we've always talked about is what's called day one CPT. Now, day one CPT means you joined a master's degree program that gave you CPT after the very first day. Day one CPT has these issues specifically with individuals from who go to consular processing, because consular officers don't believe that the day one CPT programs are actually indicative of F1 visa and show that you're going to school. To them, it shows you're working. That's what it shows. You're an F1 just to work, okay? So if you're going to do any kind of visa process, right, you're going to go over there and get stamped, with day one CPT programs, you're going to have some problems, and that's what you're going to have to worry about, okay? I hope that answers your question, Sahin Raj 87, all right? You're saying Uber Eats Instructions said, thanks. Hey, you're welcome. I like that you check in. Thanks for asking questions. It's Chiragora, I think. My eyes aren't so good. I'm unmarried. But I am born in UAE, but hold Indian passport. Woohoo! Let's look at Chiragawa. Oh, I can't switch over to see your case. I'm so happy for you, Miss Chiragawa. Or I wish I didn't. I can never find people. It's Chirag. Chirag. Oh, hey, Chirag. It's Chirag Aurora. Hey, Chirag. You're unmarried? Yeah. Born in UAE. That should do it. I mean, now, a lot of the Arab Emirates and a lot of the Middle East, if you're born there, you don't get any rights. But what we would do is say, oh, you're born somewhere else, you can count against the country cap in the general country cap, okay? So tell your lawyer that. You got it for free from me, and you're suddenly in an absolutely amazing position to just go ahead and get a green card quick, okay? Make sure they file your perm and your I-140. Make sure they list your country of origin properly, and then file away, okay? All right, user 866890515. Hello, sir. My H4 visa will get expired in September. Can I still continue to study in my master's? Well, visa expiration is never going to count to anything. What matters more is your period of authorized stay, or your period of stay, I should say, not authorized stay, your period of stay. So if your I-94 is stamped further on, or if you have a I-94 for a change of status for further on, you're fine. You should probably be filing an extension of status already, and you'll be in what's called a period of authorized stay, and you should be able to extend into continue on as a student for, I think, 240 days. Talk to your attorney about that one. They should be helping you with that, okay? All right, thank you so much. Respect all eight. Marco, hey, thanks for the follow. Sahin Raj 87, you're welcome. Mine is day one CPT, but program is executive PhD. Yeah, executive programs tend to be worker-based programs, meaning while employed. That's the whole point of an executive MBA or executive PhD. So remember, it's the consular officer's opinion that you're really doing this to work, not doing this to attend school. I don't want to give you a student visa, okay? It's a consular's office opinion, and I would stay away from it as much as you can, okay? Marco, what about the new pathway to citizenship is going to become law? Okay, so that's a really, really good question, and I'm glad you asked it. So essentially, immigration provisions in the budget reconciliation process. I had a website that I used for that. Is really kind of up for grabs. Okay, what I mean by that is this. We just passed the Senate just passed a transportation bill, and that transportation bill, normally what happens what you make a statute or a bill, there are these organizations that represent, interests, they're called stakeholders, who contribute to the process, and they start talking about what they want to see, how they want things to do. in the reconciliation bill, they actually included this provision at the last minute that was about cryptocurrencies, specifically how individuals who run stake nodes or nodes are responsible for KYC, right? Know your client information, and responsible to report to IRS for KYC. And it was just a provision designed to raise tax income off what they consider to be a business. Now, it was a last minute thing because up until a week before the bill, it wasn't in there. And literally, the organization that I follow found it, reported on it, and started, really quickly lobbying on how this is not proper and this is not the way it's supposed to be. But in the budget reconciliation bill that we've got that's going on right now, they have a narrow process where they're not supposed to submit a lot of stuff. Okay, you're supposed to have minimized amendments, minimized speeches, and all that kind of stuff. So right now, the immigration stuff that they've submitted that we know of, included things like the DREAM Act, which is undocumented individuals, giving them a path to citizenship. And there's a new part which has come about that we've learned a little bit about, which is called documented dreamers. Now, documented dreamers is a new kind of term that relates to individuals who come with their parents' work visas and then they age out because their parents they turn 21. And the process is it's very burdensome on these young people who've come here and been here for all their lives. And that's going to be very, very difficult. So those are provisions that we know that they've been talked about to put in. And then there are other things like TPS and the U visa program, which we've heard are going to be put in. But the truth is, we don't know exactly what's in it. Okay. And that is a little bit painful because, we believe they're going to add more amendments that would be hitting some of the programs they think are important, like TPS, and then a pathway to citizenship. And that would mean something like Dreamers. Obviously, the TPS programs are in there, the documented Dreamers, and then they have other provisions for things they call farm workers. It's always in. Farm workers are always in. And then they also have things called essential workers. Okay, now essential workers is like this thing where, as a lawyer, you know that whenever you have a term, there is, what is going on here? You have a term that is defined. Okay, so if there is a documented, if there's essential workers, we have to know what that means. What does essential worker mean? Who fits in those categories? Are the frontline COVID workers or others? Okay, so at this point, they're looking already at how many people this covers, and the numbers that they're coming up with is something in the 10 million group of undocumented people. That's what they're really, really talking about right now in the Reconciliation Act. We will get more, and we'll try to update you on it and see if we can help you with more questions on that. And Manoj Vanga 6, consular processing, H-1B approval benefits. So consular processing has been going on. There's people getting in and out. We've been getting lots of emails, lots of contact from individuals who've made it and got their visa stamping done. The problem that I think that people are having is that getting into the appointments, getting all people approved on your H4s, getting things like an NIE if you need to. Now that is something that's really, really important. Okay, getting the NIE is going to be something like proving what industry you belong to, proving you're essential and need to come to the United States. So again, I told you guys about it last time. We've got clients who are stuck in India, stuck in Europe, and trying to get out to come to the United States, and they have to use this process called the NIE. The NIE is the one which gets them an exception to the travel ban. So for now, I would say that the benefit of consular processing is only that you get a visa. It only means you can travel. If you are in the United States and you have a change of status, that means you're in the USA, your H-1B is approved, you're here, you can wait till next year to get an H-1B visa. There's no need for it today. And in the waiting period, you're going to learn more about the people who've gone, people who've gotten stuck, NIEs. My advice for all clients of Indian who are going to India is not to go. Do not go. I think people need to wait. I think people need to stay here on status and keep that in their back pocket for something else in case they get stuck. Okay. So to me, I know that people are suffering and there's meaning they have family issues or people they want to see. The problem is, what if you get stuck for 4 months? What if it's 6 months? What if it's longer than that? Is that going to work for you? Is that going to work for your employer? Are you going to feel comfortable with that? Or is that something that, you can work remotely? If you can work remotely, then you can balance it out and you can do that. But if those of you think that you need to be back in the United States and be doing stuff, well, then I don't think you should be taking that risk. That's what you need to balance. So it's not an attorney question. It's a personal question. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? Okay. All right. I'm on L1B. My employer just started green card filing. What are my options to continue to stay beyond 5 years? L1B is very, very specific. And I honestly have to tell you, I don't remember if the provisions for AC21 apply for the L1B. So I am going to look it up. AC21 memo L1B, because that is really kind of stuck. Yeah, so it looks like it does work for the L1B. All right. Just generally, it does work for the L1B. Hang on a second. Yeah. So generally, I'm going to say it does. I honestly would need to say I need to look it up. Okay, so I'm going to guess that it would work for you to stay beyond, because it applies to H1Bs and other L1s. So my educated guess is that you can stay beyond the time period, but I honestly have to look. I haven't filed one. L1Bs are very, very specific, to be honest with you. L1B is an individual with specialized knowledge, internal specialized knowledge of a company, procedure, process, or trade secret. And L1Bs tend to be people in large companies that perhaps know something about how the company does business. So I've seen them for companies like Deloitte and Touche. I've seen them for a lot of different banks and Wall Street type financial organization. I've seen them from smaller type financial organizations. And I've seen them in companies that have their own software that they work on internally, and they'll get an L1B who might be an essential worker, somebody who understands how that process works, that is not exposed, doesn't give that information to clients or does not kind of spread that information around. The problem with the L1B is they always ask like how fast you can train an American to fit in that position, and they have a lot of questions like that. So L1Bs are very, very specific, okay? And we use them when companies have very specific things. We don't generally, give those out kind of willy-nilly like, oh, we'll just do an L1B for you. They're very, very specific, okay? So what I would say is give me a call. I'll look it up and we'll figure that one out together, okay? All right. Manoj Vang, can I schedule consular processing H1 approval with Canada Consulate? All right. So that's a great question. That's called third country processing. All right. You can look it up. It's called TCP. And third country processing is good for visas in Canada or Mexico. Now, typically what you have to do in those is you can talk to that consulate, you can apply for it, you can go. But what they're going to tell you, and guys, I have to wrap it up. I'm in 3 minutes. I have a call at 1:30. So what they're going to tell you is that it's possible to do it, but it's not always sort of a given, or it's going to happen, or it's a guarantee. What that means is if you've had a visa issued by your home country, number one, that's the first step. That always helps a lot. And then you have a solid case that looks very, very good and the type of case that would probably win. You need someone to look at that. They reserve the right to deny it or to not give it to you, or if they're overbooked or busy, to just send you home. Okay. In the past, we've had cases with a third country nationals get stuck or be told that they're not going to get it. And before COVID, it's different. You can go fly to another country or do something else, but now it's really, really tough, okay? So you can schedule with Canada by filing the DS-160, see if they'll give it to you. If they give it to you, great. If they don't give it to you, and set the appointment for you, then you understand that it's not going to happen, okay? So that's what I would say on that. All right, guys. So it's been a really, really short actual process, and I'm really sorry that I had to kind of jump in and jump out. Answer one more question because I saw it pop up. But I do have a call, on a Zoom call from Chile with some company in 01 or something. Sukumar 318. Can I work for 2 employers if both of them sponsor H1 and both approved? Yes, it's called. I forgot what it's called, but you can do it. You can do it, provided that they're not both full time, right? That is the thing. Immigration just does not believe that you can work a full time job at both, even though that might be something like 60 hours a week in total, right? 30 for one, and 30 for the other, or 32, 35. IRS has a weird definition, but as long as you have both approvals and the time period is valid, of course you can. What I think you might have a problem with is if you have a full-time approval for one and then you have a full-time approval for another as a change of employer. That doesn't work. You have to file it the way where you check the box, which I'm missing the word right now, which is like there's a word, but it says I'm getting 2, right? So that is the key, okay? So Kumar, is if you file it the right way, saying I have 2 H-1Bs. You can't just get one company approved and another company approved in the same time period and think that you're okay. It actually is called a change of employer, that you're leaving one employer to go to the next, okay? So it's part of the filing. It's very specific. You tell immigration about it beforehand, and after that, you get approved and you get to go. Oh, shoot, I gotta go. All right. Got a small group, but thank you for joining. Always love it when people come over and say hello and check out our live. We will be back next week with more information, more info. You guys are the best. Stay safe out there. Take care. Bye. All right. Short and sweet.